The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators.
Keep-o, my lad, keep-o. Let the sea roll high or low. We can cross any ocean, sail any river. Give us the gun and we'll deliver. Hail to the submarine. We're the men of the merchant marine.
Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing this morning?
This is the 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
At the time of recording this, it's 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun. My neighbors always do fireworks, so they did fireworks last night. It was really fun. But yeah, so I got my red, white, and blue.
It's very pretty.
Thank you. Yes, it's red, white, and blue. No flags. I do not wear flags on my clothing. We follow the flag code in this house.
Well, I was out over at Valley Forge. So we had a picnic over at Valley Forge. My father is a member of the Pennsylvania Society Sons of the Revolution, part of the Color Guard. So there's a picnic in the evening, and this time it was at Philander Knox's estate on Valley Forge. So it's a picnic, but it's pretty upscale. And he's part of it because, of course, Lou and my father are both descended from Timothy Matlack. And so the 4th of July, to me, is like, it's one of the greatest holidays each year. There's like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the 4th of July.
Yep.
Mostly because there's just so much with like the family energy here. Now, for our listeners that haven't heard to some of our previous episodes, somebody who's listened to all of our episodes has probably heard this before, recalls it. But Timothy Matlack, who's Lou's fourth great-grandfather, was the scribe of the Declaration of Independence and secretary of the Continental Congress after the point where the Declaration was made, one of the original authors of the Pennsylvania Constitution, and served as Secretary of Pennsylvania for the war. So happy to be part of that family line coming down. So we celebrate pretty hardcore for the 4th of July.
You guys take it seriously.
We take it seriously, yeah. And this year the picnic was at this beautiful estate, this old estate over at Valley Forge. So we actually didn't set off fireworks this year. The group didn't because you can't over the battlefield park. For those that haven't been to Pennsylvania before, it is part of the national park system, Valley Forge. So while this is like a private estate, they can't like explode fireworks over top of it. But as we were driving home along the roadside, there were various celebrations going on. So we got to see some as we were.
Oh, well, that's an interesting fact. That's interesting to learn. Thank you, Allison.
Even though it's not related to the 4th of July, I love the Gettysburg Battlefield. We also have that here in Pennsylvania. There's like a recent article I just read where there's like this idea, which I've actually had in my head for a long time, which is like, you know, in Star Wars when like Princess Leia is like projected onto the floor, you know, and she's like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, right?
Yeah.
I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could like project a visual of the battle onto the battlefield as the reenactment? Because then you're not damaging anything, but you could like see everything. There was something recent where there was some rumor with AI, something was being worked on, and I think the Battlefield came out and was like, no, we're not working on that. And I'm like, is somebody else thinking about this? Did I read this right? To this day, I'm like, is this article a figment of my imagination? I hope we get to the point where we can send holograms onto to fields to do reenactments and to have other events safely, you know, without disturbing the historic property. But Valley Forge would be another apt location for such a thing. So if you're ever up in Pennsylvania, something to check out definitely is Valley Forge. But today we're continuing with our cruise with Lou here in the Merchant Marines.
I love that, cruise with Lou.
Yeah, he's actually on a ship now. You know, that's the funny thing. I feel like it's full circle. All during the war, here he is in landlocked Iowa and Kansas, except for a short little time. For what, the war was over in a week by the time he got to England, which he was safe. Like, thank goodness, that's a good thing. But I feel like he didn't get the full ship experience post-war or during the war. So now Now he has. Now in the last episode, episode 63, we're talking about Lou's travels in the Middle East on the Atlantic transporter. And he was on the journey home by the time that episode ended. There's a resource online that I just wanted to follow up with our audience here that they should check out if they want to know more about the modern oil routes in that area of the world. I found this and it's really great. And I love when, at least if our tax dollars are going to pay for things, then at least everybody can get the benefit of looking at some of the free resources online for this, because we have all paid for this to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This can be found on Library of Congress, loc.gov. So this is a current map of Middle East oil and gas, relatively current. It's from 2007. It's totally public domain, so if anybody's doing any school projects and you need a map of the oil routes or the Middle East, there you go. And this is produced by the Central Intelligence Agency, which of course was also just created in the podcast world in 1948. We heard about Truman creating that. But what I really like about this is when you open up the full map and you make it bigger, Port Said and the Suez Canal is very clearly noted on this map. So if you want to look towards that section around the Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea with Port Said, very clearly marked. And what I thought was really cool, oh, here we go. Yeah. So you can see I'm backing in and out of it. This section is that area around Kuwait. And we can see a couple places clearly marked. One is Abadan, right? So Lou made mention of that. Mm-hmm. And if I back out just a little more, there's a spot down here where right to the left of the word Persian that says Ras Tanura, which had also been called out by Lou. So yeah, something to check out online, since all our tax dollars are paying for it, if you'd like to see the current routes. And you'll see that they're very similar to the route that Lou would have taken that we've heard about. So I just thought it was neat. And plus, if you go back to episode 62, you can compare to that 1940 Richfield oil map that was shown at the end from Rand McNally. So these things have been consistent. The oil is still in the same place where it was.
So he was in the Middle East at the end of episode 63.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We are coming into episode 64.
Right.
And the first letter is from March. Oh, actually, there's 7 pieces of correspondence today. You know how I like to call out how many pieces of correspondence we have.
Yep.
So there's 7 today. So this is March of 49. Right. So that's when we catch up again with Lou. Yep. But he's not going to the Middle East. He's not spending his time in the Middle East this time.
Yeah. So to kind of catch up that month, since we heard from Lou last, his last letter was early February. Then he sends that wonderful Valentine's Day telegraph to Sweetie, and he starts to cross the Atlantic and head back towards Philadelphia. While he was basically indicating throughout those letters, once he's back, he hopes Sweetie's there and they can just get a home and start up life again. This isn't going to happen, as we're going to find out today. He's going to decide to take some more cruises, just not towards the Middle East. Some more I would say short-term trips and things. So we're going to hear about a number of them today. He's going to head down into South America. And that means he's going to link up with the oil tankers in Texas. And this he'd done before, prior to the war. So he's in Port Aransas. The Texans will correct me if I said this wrong. But it's down in that southeastern coastline of Texas. A lot of tankers setting off and heading down to various locations in South America. And he's going to call out some locations. Lou's also going to give some names of places that are very difficult, as in I have not been able to place them on the map, and I'm not sure that Lou spelled them correctly. So I think our comment section might be able to decode some of what Lou said. Andrew's making a valiant effort to pronounce what we think he meant. But we know it's all South America. And some of them, as they come up, we'll see that. And I do have a map prepared for that section, for the locations that we do know. So just similar to the one that we showed in the Middle East.
And so will this map be on the website for our audio listeners?
These maps, because I've been creating them and they're done with public domain images. So we'll get those posted to tell the story online. No photos, unfortunately, from Lou for the South American portion, but we do have a picture of something that he sends to Jean. So we'll be able to bring that up on screen. So I wish if he did take photos, I have yet to find them in the collection at this point. I don't think that they've survived the South American portion of his story here. But we are going to we've been cruising east over the Atlantic. Now we're going to cruise south and get some more information about how the Merchant Marine and how the oil tankers were traveling those days. Before we get started with today's letters, if everybody could please like, share, and subscribe to the Love Sweetie podcast on YouTube, we very much appreciate that. If you're listening in on our audio channels like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please leave a review if you have the time to do so. We appreciate all of our audience, our returning audience. If you're new to the Love Sweetie podcast, welcome, and we hope you go back and enjoy some of the back library, some of the stories from Sweetie. But you're starting at a really interesting point here, because at the end we might hear back. We might start moving the story forward away from the Merchant Marine.
Without further ado, let us hear from Lou.
Mrs. Lewis S. Graham, Box 5, Lacona, Iowa. Thursday evening, March 10, 1949. My darling Mama, we arrived here at about 11 a.m. this morning. It really is a beautiful place, too. We are completely surrounded by mountains. It's amazing how they even got the ship in here. We had to go through a real narrow pass to get in. It's almost like a lake. There isn't a thing here except a few houses that the workers live in. In the town of Puerto La Cruz is about 10 miles away and east about $3 American money to get there, 9 Bolivars, Venezuela. So I don't believe I'll go ashore. They say there isn't a thing there except a bunch of beer joints, so there's nothing there for me. I was hoping to get some souvenirs for you and Louis, though. I gave one of the fellows that went ashore your letter to mail for me, and I asked him to get me something to bring back to you if he saw anything worthwhile. I hope he can get me something. There was no mail for us here, so I guess I'll get it all when we get back to Philly Wednesday or Thursday. I do hope you're all right and not working too hard. Well, honey, there's not much more to tell you. Things are just about the same. I'm still looking forward to the day when we get our bills paid and we can be together again. I miss you an awful lot, honey. More than I can ever say. I hope you miss me too and still want me as much as I want you. I'll give this to one of the workers and ask him to mail it for me. I love you with all my heart, and I always will. Love me too, will ya? Daddy Lou.
So it really seems at this point that he's used to being away. It's kind of just the same old, same old. I'm really sorry that we don't have any pictures.
It's too bad, but he describes the scene, and you know what? Compared to the Middle East, where he's like, we're going by at night, I can only see lights, or there's not a lot to look at, or we can't really see anything. This is the complete opposite. He's like, yo, it's really pretty here. There's like a mountain, and there's things. Yeah. So he's enjoying the scenery. So yeah, it's really sad that based on all of that. But I do have this map ready to go. Let me bring this up. So I've got 3 points on the map here. Now, the first one up by Washington, D.C. is Philadelphia area, I would say. And it's tough to put all of this on a map. But he said he's going back and forth at this moment between Philadelphia and Puerto La Cruz. Now, Puerto La Cruz is the one defined location that absolutely is on the map. And he's identifying through the currency that this is in Venezuela. So here's the country of Venezuela. And Puerto La Cruz, if you look to like the 2 little dips on the northern coastline, on the second, the one on the right, more towards the right, is where Puerto La Cruz is. It's still a major spot for oil. So that's where he said he's about 10 miles east of it. That's where Lou is going to be for this trip. So if you're wondering, especially if like I'm not that great at South American history or the geography, for our audio listeners, Venezuela's in that northern portion of South America. So it's as if they're just coming straight down into South America and just sort of landing on the northern coastline overall. And there's Venezuela there. It's not going to be the furthest distance that they'd have to go, which is good. Now, there are oil maps and deposits all over South America, but at least theirs is not the further distance. So
yeah, he does make mention that like on the time that he's writing this letter, he'll be back within a week.
Right.
Most likely. Yeah. So he had talked about like the other trips that they could take and the other things that he could do. And he was happy about being in the Mediterranean because it was just one. Right. But he was gone for so long. It was such a long trip.
A lot of time. Imagine that, like, if they're not sure when Sweetie's going to get back, he's like, all right, I'll take a trip. I'll be back in a week. Oh, is she not back yet? Okay, I'll take a trip. It's going to be back in a week. So he can keep taking these short cruises so long as she's still in Iowa. But as we can see in the letter, he wants her back as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, but going into the next letter here, we're going to fast forward a couple weeks in March.
Tuesday evening, March 22, 1949. My dearest Mama, we left Jersey City at 9:30 or so yesterday morning, and as I did write you a quick letter before I left, there were several things I wanted to ask or tell you, but I was afraid we would leave before I got the chance to finish it, so I'll try to get to them now. First, did we ever write to the commandant of the 4th or 9th District, Great Lakes, and ask that my records be transferred to Philadelphia, 4th or 9th? I forget which is which, but maybe you could go look up some of our old letters from then and find out which is which. If I'm going to get on the job training here, these records will have to be here or it will delay our checks and the okay for the training. If it hasn't been done yet, will you do it for me or write the letter for me and send it on and I will sign it and get it off? Next, you asked about selling some of our furniture out there to lighten the load. I don't know what we could sell. I wouldn't want to sell Mom's parlor set, and we both agreed that we couldn't get another bedroom set for the price we could get for ours, so that doesn't leave much more to sell. What do you think about it? I would like to have my 50-cent tabletop, although I don't think I'll need the legs or crossbar. Maybe you could pack some of my junk in the chest of drawers or bureau drawers. That would do away with the weight of the boxes anyway. I wouldn't bother with the paint and stuff out in the Cobb house. You could just give it to your daddy. There is some good paint thinner and carbon yet there. You never did send the weight and miles cost of our last load, so I've been unable to get any information on that so far. Have you called Kessel's yet? I think if we look hard and long enough, we could probably find a refrigerator as good or maybe better than ours as I paid before. If you want to sell it, it's all right with me. I hope we won't have any trouble with the VA over that form that has to be filled out. I thought Max and your daddy could get together on that better than I could, give us a hard time about that, and say that we were just trying to draw the $97.50 without farming. So I don't know whether your daddy wants to say that we bought the calves and hammer mill or not. I figured on putting that down on that form if we had stayed. Talk to your daddy about it, will you? If they, the VA, come to the conclusion that we were just trying to beat them, I think they can cancel all other benefits that I have coming. So see what you can do to get it squared away or send me the form. I don't think I can start any other training until that is taken care of it. We are to arrive at Panatacao on Saturday afternoon and will probably leave Sunday morning and arrive back in Philly on Saturday, April 2. I suppose we will dock at Point Breeze on the west side of the river just the same as before. So as always, I'll pray that you are there waiting for me. I hope you won't have too much trouble getting things ready to move. Maybe Jean could help you some. I know it will be hard for you to leave, but honey, as I said before, I'll do all I can to love you and make you happy. I love you so much I can hardly wait for you to get here. I'm just as excited as a little kid on Christmas Eve. How do you feel? Well, if this is going to go airmail, I'd better cut it short right now, or it will be too heavy. I do love you, and want you as my wife forever and ever. Want me too, will you? Tell Louis Daddy is looking forward to seeing him, and tell him to take care of his mama and love her until Daddy gets the chance to love her in person. And honey, that I will surely do. I adore you. Daddy Lou.
So this was a lot. There was a lot of information in this letter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lots of planning for the future. What's going on.
Lots of planning, lots of like certainty. There was like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're not going to sell this. And I guess that they had made some kind of like, got some kind of grant for farming. I don't know. This is a little unclear.
Yeah. So there's different aspects here. And there's a couple clues as to what's going to be coming up. He mentions Great Lakes. That's the first thing. And I recognize the term Great Lakes, and I think a lot of our veterans, if they're listening to this episode, are going to be like, oh, yeah. Great Lakes is a big boot camp area. Like, so even for the Vietnam War, my father, I don't want to get too far into this, may or may not have been at Great Lakes as we head into the 60s. But that's a very, like, big location. So when he's saying about all this stuff about paperwork and figuring out to transfer records to Philadelphia, the question becomes, why is paperwork getting transferred? What's happening here? The answer is, Lou's going to rejoin the Navy.
Oh.
Yeah. So when we're talking about records for the VA, because, farming didn't work out. He doesn't want to be on these boats forever doing the oil tanker thing and the merchant marine. his whole time, but he's already put in 6 years of his life into this career in the Navy from 42 to 48, because a lot of people stopped after World War II. He didn't. He kept going until 48. So he's going to resume that career. And we're going to get to that story when we get to that story. But the big thing here is, if people are wondering, like, why is he transferring records? There's also Chester trying to help out with some of the paperwork. So it does seem that there's something going on with the VA where there's probably some sort of like exemption or claim that needs to be done, because he doesn't want to risk the benefits being canceled because he's going to rejoin. So there's all of that happening. Now, I love the one call it here to Max, because all of a sudden we get this individual named Max. And for a while there, at least for like the last like year or so, I couldn't figure out who is Max in this letter. Max is Max Butler. And the Butlers are I'm going to shout out the Butlers here. The Butlers are the longtime neighbors of the Demarees.
Oh.
So they still remember the Demarees to this day. So I believe that Max is part of the Butler family. And so it's like the neighbors, the older neighbors. So Chester and the Butler family working out some of the things while Lou's away. Which is nice.
That's lovely. Yeah, so we got a little bit of the social circle for the Demarees for Chester, because this is out in Iowa.
That's out in Iowa, yeah. And then the last part here is he wants to sell off some furniture so they don't have that hideous cost for moving everything back. I think, what was it, like it was the $300, there's like $250 to $350, somewhere in that range. When they took all of the 3,000 pounds of furniture out to Iowa, they want to unburden some of that before coming back east, but he's like, I don't know what to get rid of.
And I think that we will see too, and that it becomes apparent that he does like his things and like to have his things.
Yes.
Kind of like maybe that's why him and Jean get along so well. But yes, it does seem he has trouble parting with his stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll find out on what's going on there. Now Kessel's is the moving company, so there definitely plans are in motion. There's clearly communication we just don't have that says that things are being planned. That being said, we should bear in mind another thing, which is they can't go back to Norwood. Norwood's gone. That was rented home. That's been rented out to somebody else at this point. So the only place to go to right now is his mother's house in Collingdale. So we might be back in that zone of Sweetie needs to find a house. We've been here before in the season, so future content, we'll get there.
We'll see what happens. But for now, we are on when is our next letter from?
Still in the same cruise that he's taking end of March of 1949 here.
Saturday afternoon, March 1949. My darling Mama, I must have calculated wrong. I said that we would be in Pamatacal this afternoon. Well, we won't arrive until early this morning. Then it will be too late to go in and tie up, so we'll anchor outside and go in tomorrow morning. Again, I don't think I'll go ashore. I would like to try to get you something from down here, but as the fellows say, there isn't a thing to buy. Maybe they just don't know what to buy. However, that $3 taxi fare scares me, so I don't guess I'll go. But I'll give my mail to one of the fellows to mail for me. I'm reading an old Enquirer, March 19. I found an ad for a 9 cubic foot GE refrigerator in good condition for $75. Of course it didn't say how old it was, and of course it will be too late to call about it when we get back, but it will give you an idea of the chances of getting one here. I also found a list of moving companies, so if you'll send me the information I asked for, I'll call some of them and check the prices. I do hope we can get squared away and get settled here before too long. I miss you more and more each day, and now that I know we're going to have a home, the waiting seems harder and much longer. I don't know just how soon Jim wants me to start work, but I would like to be able to pay your daddy back before I leave Atlantic. As I told you before, I had thought about staying until my vacation came around. Then we would have more money and my vacation pay. But I don't think he wants to wait that long. Then, too, if you're going to be here soon, I don't want to be at sea either. So I guess we'll just have to try to pay a little at a time. What do you think? Can we do it? If we could get a couple of months' rent paid in advance, and maybe some coal in now, maybe we could be able to send him some part of my pay from Jim. At any rate, it would be a help to get some coal in during the summer months. It's cheaper then. I hope by now you have received a card from Mr. Lone about the house. although I doubt if he'd know quite so soon. I'll go down to see him when we get back. And again, honey, I'll pray that you're there waiting for me. I love you so much, and I need you, you even me. I'll always love you and want you for my wife forever and ever. I adore you, Daddy Lou. I'm so glad I married you.
Aww.
Yeah.
I just love Andrew so much. He's just doing such a great job.
So good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I have to call this out too, because it's just something that is a personal thing. So the word EITHER can be pronounced one of two, it can be two ways. It can be either or either.
Yeah.
And he says either, and I just so much prefer that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had to call that out because he's just doing such a great job with these letters.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate him so much. But they look like they have some idea about a house. Like they look like they might know that they have some leads, or they have some contacts with people. Mr. Lone.
Yeah.
His name is Mr. Lone, and they're talking to him about a house. Okay, that's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I love when he's talking about the taxi also. So like they have to take this ride to get to the shore. But it's all beer joints, he said in the other letters. So he doesn't drink. He's being
he doesn't drink. Yeah. That's one of the things that Sweetie loves about him, that he doesn't drink. So he's like, and $3 for a taxi?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like how much you need to fix a watch. Like that's ridiculous. Oh yeah. I'm guessing it's probably a water taxi.
I think so. Yeah. That's the way I was reading it. It was a water taxi. So, because if he was on land, Lou would just be walking around. He wouldn't be taking taxis anywhere. So
right. Well, but it seems like it's just not a fun place. Then there's nothing to buy, and I guess you just get off there and drink beer. So I guess Jim, this person Jim, is probably with the Atlantic.
Yep.
And he's talking about working with him and trying to get. I'm guessing he's making a pretty decent amount of money.
I think he is. Yeah.
Like this is really good. I think that'd be the only thing that would keep him away from his wife, is being able to make a lot of money. So, I mean, they have loans to her parents.
Probably loans to Jean.
Loans to Jean.
Yeah, Jean's pretty forgiving, but still, it's like they want to be able to handle that. And then the coal. He was talking about picking up coal early if he can. So.
Yeah, he's definitely in a mindset like he's like, okay, I'm taking care of all this stuff too, which is it's such an odd thing because he doesn't have the means to like call people all the time. He's constantly on the boat. So he's having to try to take care of this stuff. He's reading an Inquirer and he's like, hey, would you look at this ad?
Yeah. This is the price range of things we're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's in that mode where he's like, I'm getting my wife, I'm getting my house, and we're gonna, clearly.
It's definitely more than like, if we remember right after World War II, he seemed kind of directionless. Like he wasn't sure what his work was going to be. It was months were passing. This is like, he knows what he wants to do now. Yeah, definitely. So the next item here for this episode, Jamie, is we're moving into April, and we're going to switch recipients here for a moment.
Dear Jean, these are both Atlantic ships. How are you? Haven't heard from... Don't you like me? Love, Lou.
Oh, so he sent a little postcard to Jean.
Yeah, he's just playing around. Of course, Jean likes him. He's just checking in with his buddy there. Now, because he's saying these are both Atlantic ships, and because we don't have any other pictures, I wanted to bring up the front of this postcard so that we could get a full view of the tanker here. And so he wanted to show this to Jean, so I'm going to make sure we show that to everyone. But this is the postcard from April 11th.
Oh, look at the cars. Oh,
yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah, this is cool.
What it also indicates is this time the cruise is taking off from Texas. So on that map that I'd brought up, there was the little boat along the Texas coastline. That's where Port Aransas is. But yeah, so clearly this is an example of the tankers that he would be serving on. It's not necessarily that this is the Atlantic transporter, and I doubt it is, But he wanted to show kind of, and to get an idea. And we can see some of those wires always coming down. We always see wires in the background, and those like huge like steam or whatever they are on the top. Those odd shaped things that come up and then curve out, and they look like they have a bell. We've been seeing them on the photos from that he took in the Middle East. Now we can see where they'd be placed on the ship and get a better idea of that. But I love that he sent this, to give her a picture of it, because it lets us see it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we head into a full letter that he's going to write as well. And he's going to continue his conversation that he's having with Jean.
SS Transporter Atlantic, at sea, April 30, 1949. Dear Jean, as you probably know by now, I have gone back to sea, and we are now on our way to Port Arthur, Texas. I tried to get your nice letter answered when I was home, but I just didn't make the grade. I'm a pretty poor writer anyway, so I hope you can decipher some of these scratchings and spellings to make a little sense. I still don't know what the something is that Sweetie is making. I haven't even had a hint to go on, but I'm sure if Sweetie made it, it is something worthwhile and well made. She really is quite a gal, and I appreciate her more and more each day. I will say, too, that you're no slouch either. I'm glad that you're getting along with Aileen, okay? When it was first suggested, I felt that it might not work out too well, not because you have string too short to use, but probably just because you always had your own place, but couldn't get used to sharing it with anyone else. I'm a good bit like that myself. I could go out and live in a cave for years, and I wouldn't care if I never had any buddies, self-centered, I guess, but I just couldn't be bothered. I'm glad Lewis finally got his turtles. I thought of them many times, and finally in Harbor Island, Texas, I saw a small turtle made out of shells and bought one for him. I didn't tell Sweetie. I wanted to keep it for a surprise. Although it isn't real, I thought it was cute, and I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it. I'm sure pleased to hear about your ran out of ink new job. It sure does sound good. $250 per month is really something these days, and with full maintenance, too. My advice to you, young lady, is, Mr. Anthony, take that job. How far is Shenandoah from Des Moines? I suppose it's farther from Lacona than Des Moines is. That would be one drawback, but just the same, I'd think twice before I'd turn it down. So you've been seeing quite a bit of Clifford lately, and Don, too. Well, now we're getting somewhere. Stick to it, kid. You know, Sweetie went in there punching, and she had me hooked out in less than 6 months. So come on now, let's see what you can do in 6 months. Well, I guess that's all for now. Take care of yourself, and don't let the spirit of youth get you down. I'm sure her intentions are good, so just take it easy. Maybe she doesn't have any use for string too short to use. And for me, I have a box full of wire frayed and rotten. I think you're swell. Love, Lou.
Yep.
That was a lovely look into their personal relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they clearly are very much alike. Let's keep that string that's too short to use.
That's one of my favorite letters that Lou writes entirely, despite all the other letters being to Sweetie and mushy gushy and fantastic and all the other stuff. But on the string too short to use. So when that phrase is brought up, now Aileen, I think, is Jean's roommate. Mm-hmm. I think her name's been mentioned before. There's a couple things that Lou's talking about here, but when I'm going to go back to the letter here, he says this first. The string too short to use is used twice. I'm looking for it here. When it was first suggested, I felt that it might not work out too well, not because you saved string too short to use. But then he compares it to himself, and I love that he says wire frayed and rotten. It's just, there's something about that little conversation he's having about things. It's so good. And then
I feel like that perhaps maybe Sweetie at one point said, you have a box full of wires, they're all frayed and rotten.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably became an inside joke between the two of them.
Yeah, we might have some insight here into an inside joke. The other thing is she's thinking about changing her job. When anybody hears Shenandoah, the first thing that comes to mind is Virginia. Or it should be the first thing that comes to mind to Virginia. But there is a Shenandoah, Iowa. And it's heading towards more of the western side of Iowa, closer to Nebraska. It's southwest of Des Moines. So she's looking at this opportunity in Shenandoah, Iowa. And I really wanted to clarify that to our listeners. But she's got a big opportunity here as a nurse. And he's like, yeah, go get it, And by the way, then he mentions Clifford. But there's also a mention of someone named Dawn, I believe. So she's having dates with a bunch of guys. And he's like, look, you just got to land one. And I bet you're going to be faster than our 4 months together. Because they were married in 4 months, Lou and Sweetie, between their first date in August to December of 43. So he's even referencing that. He's like, just land someone. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. But Clifford's been around now in the storyline for over a year. So as far as we know, and Jean may have been dating him much further back than that, but wasn't making mention because Sweetie was surprised when Clifford kind of came out of the blue. So some relationship advice in this letter as well from Lou, which is great.
You're right. It's a little bit of a different, what's the word I want to use? Deviation from the sweet, lovey, gushy letters. Yeah, I do like it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we head into the last two pieces of correspondence here. Now, this next one is from the beginning of May. So we have to look at the timeline as well. And I think this is a good time to bring it up. Jamie, when they left, we know that the date that she intended to depart from the Philadelphia area to head to Iowa in 48 was July 30th. So assuming that they got out as expected in like the first week of August of 48, Sweetie has now been in Iowa for some time. And Lou had left in December to head to the Merchant Marine. So we were talking about this earlier, but those timelines are moving along. Sweetie has now been in Iowa for almost a year, only a few months shy of it. And Lou has now been at sea and working in the Merchant Marine for a good 5 to 6 months. So
wow, and they haven't seen each other in that time.
Nope. So only the letters. Yep. But we'll see. This is a long time period. The longest time outside the war itself, when he went to England and was overseas.
Dear Jean, this is where we are docked and we leave at in the morning. I finally got your letter answered. Hope your trip to Shenandoah was satisfactory. Love, Lou.
Okay, so he wrote her another postcard.
And this one is from Port Arthur, Texas. So another view of the tankers. I'll put that image online so we can get that there. But very similar to the other one. And this is interesting because now imagine it's a shorter cruise. He might be going back and forth just between Texas and South America at this point. Probably cutting down the turnaround time and getting down to those ports by like 2 to 3 days. And that was the other thing we actually didn't talk about yet. He finally found something to give little Lewis. And I don't know if it survives. I have to talk to my dad. But the little turtle. The little turtle toy.
We'll have to see. I don't know. Yeah. Probably not. It sounds like it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it may be. Maybe he recalls it, but it's a small item. But yeah, so now he's sort of darting back and forth in Texas, and they're waiting to see what happens. But that's where we're going to leave Lou for this episode.
And okay. We're not going to do the last letter?
We're leaving Lou, though, Jamie.
We're leaving Lou. That's right. This is a... So who's this letter? Who's this letter from?
Well, I guess we should just listen to it and find out. Friday, May 13th, 1949. Dear Jean, the folks got home at about 7:45, and I dashed down to the post office, hoping to get a letter from Lou. Your letter was there. Sorry to hear about your finger being infected, but I can't help but wish you were here to take your share of the blame for a hacked gooseberry bush and a slaughtered bleeding heart. I sewed for Sister yesterday, and today Lewis and I went to a birthday party that I will tell you about when you come. No particular highlights with beds and the house. What it is, I don't see how we could keep merry and entertain properly. I will be anxious to see the sweaters blocked, but do not send Lewis to him, will you? From your letter, I wasn't sure what you meant, but at any rate, I'll take it with me when I go east. And Mom said you were going out with Lex. Why didn't you try that variety store for buttons? Like I said, I donate the dress you furnish your own buttons. Have a nice time. And love, Sweetie.
So from Sweetie, we haven't heard from Sweetie for a little while.
Yeah, we haven't heard from her for a couple of episodes now. This is a nice letter just to indicate something simply. She is still in Iowa as of this date, which is May 13th. So the question becomes, when is she going to come east? But she mentions she's going to. There's no doubt. There's a certainty there. And then we also get to hear a person named Lex, which, playing back from the other letter, Dawn, Cliffy, and Lex. Jean's been going on a lot of things. Yeah. So, yeah.
Go Jean.
Yeah.
Go Jean.
Fun, Yeah. So she's definitely out having some romantic relationships and things like that. But yeah, it's a way to sort of check in with Sweetie with what's going on. It doesn't seem like there's any sense of urgency with getting to the East Coast, but also there's not a, hey, maybe we can, there's no point of like, maybe I can get Lou to stay here. No. Like, that was the early part of season 2, we had those letters, which she's holding out hope, like maybe I can stay in Iowa. There's not a whisper of it. So next week, we're going to continue with the story from both perspectives, from Lou and with Sweetie, now that Sweetie's back. And I think it's time to wrap up the story of the Merchant Marine and get the two of them reunited. So,
yeah.
Until next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.